Elasticity. We know that as the price rises, the quantity demanded is going to fall. But how much? People selling stuff really want to know this. They want to know, should this go on sale? Does it make sense to drop the price? It depends on elasticity. If a small drop in the price can create a large increase in volume sold, that'll increase revenue. But if a drop in the price means only a small increase in volume, that would end up decreasing revenue. Or the opposite, if a business raises the price, then of course sales will drop, but how much? If a higher price means a slight bit lower sales, that could be good for revenue. If a higher price means a lot fewer sales, that was bad. Company can go right out of business by raising prices. Now, of course, for many businesses, this is a complicated question since there are many different outputs. Maybe a sale on coffee will increase sales of other foods, but we'll concentrate now on this single item. And while it's useful to think of the question, should the business put it on sale? There are, of course, some goods, like wine, where there may be regulations against that. Still, businesses may have pricing power. They want to decide how to set prices where they can make money. It's about elasticity. How much do sales volumes change when prices change? There are lots of influences. Some products like medicine are vital, so they're not really dependent on price. Not entirely without influence. Again, recall the previous note, demand depends on income, so poor people might have lower demand for something even if they need it. You see signs for buying like diabetes test strips. But vital products are less responsive to price. They're inelastic. Other products are more discretionary. People have a choice. They carefully look at the price. For instance, going on vacation. If we talk about the effect of a price change, we differentiate whether it's one business raising its prices or many businesses. If one coffee shop raises prices, then people might exercise their choice to go to a different one. But if coffee beans all get more expensive, then most coffee shops might have to raise prices, and that means less impact on each individual one. Generally, in the markets we're discussing, there are lots of choices. If climate change means that coffee beans get more expensive, then all coffee drinks will have prices raised. Some places might swap out the type of bean. There are many gradations of quality, and some stores might decide that maybe a $1.99 price point is important, so they'll use lower quality beans, which is kind of a price increase. Since the person really wanted to keep buying the same quality of coffee, they'd have to pay more. Or some consumers might choose a smaller size coffee, or cut back how many trips they make each week to the coffee shop, or not go to the fancy shop and instead go to the lower quality place. Maybe they'll make coffee at home, maybe switch to tea, maybe decide it's a good time to ditch caffeine altogether. Now again, remember our notion of opportunity cost. Coffee at home is cheaper in terms of money. It does have an opportunity cost. It takes time to make. It takes time and executive functioning to purchase the ingredients ahead. Plenty of students will usually make coffee, but around final exams, they'll decide to buy it because they have less time. Their opportunity cost becomes higher during finals. This all gets to the basic idea that people don't just buy an item, they're buying the convenience. The 5 P's of marketing are product, price, promotion, place, and people. Place is important. For instance, most consumers don't buy a bottle of water because they lack water at home. They buy it because it's offered at a convenient place and time. Drinks are more expensive at the movie theater. Elasticity also depends on the availability of other factors. Lots of alcoholic beverages are sold in restaurants. That's a major distribution pathway for many sellers. So if restaurant meals get more expensive, people go out to eat less, that can change their consumption of wine. Or they might be more likely to just get a glass of house wine and not pay a bit more for a fancier brand. Now, these sorts of relationships could be positive or negative. For instance, alcohol generally or often consumed with cigarettes. So as cigarettes get cheaper, people smoke more, they'll tend to drink more alcohol. or vice versa. Cigarettes and alcohol are complementary goods. On the other hand, cigarettes are a substitute for coffee, so if cigarettes get cheaper, people might drink less coffee. Elasticity depends on how large a budget item is in the household's overall budget. For most of us, the cost of housing, whether you rent or you own, that's the largest single budget item. If rent goes up 5%, that makes a big difference in overall spending. Whereas if coffee gets more expensive, that's not really a big difference in monthly spending. I mean, a 5% increase in rent means a big change in standard of living. A 5% increase in coffee price, $2 cup of coffee is $2.10. You buy a cup a day, throughout the year you're spending $36.50 more. That's easier to deal with. Elasticity can be different over time as well. Classic example again, cigarette smoking. Once people are addicted, they're not very sensitive to price change. But you know who is price sensitive? Teenagers, just starting the habit. That's one of the reasons that onesies are illegal. But lots of other consumption items are similar. I mean, they're not addicting, but they can be habitual. Somebody decides to try getting a fancy coffee at a new place. They decide they like it. They start to go regularly. Once they got a habit of stopping every day on the way to work, they're less price sensitive than the person who went in the shop for the first time. That's why businesses often offer sales or discounts to new customers. They want people to get in the habit of coming there. They want their staff to be really nice and remember your order. They want to develop customers who are not sensitive to price. Now, how do we calculate elasticity? There's a simple formula. Elasticity is the percent change in quantity divided by the percent change in price. But sorry, we can't keep it simple. We've got to dirty it up in all sorts of different ways. The percent change is the change divided by the original level, which we can notate as delta Q over Q. Change in quantity divided by quantity, that's the percent change. And delta P over P is the percent change in price. Later, we'll have other elasticities, so we might divide by something other than P. You got to mind your P's and Q's. Yeah, so we're going to dirty up these formulas. They kind of end up looking the sort of ugly that only a mother could love, but whatever. Percent change in quantity divided by percent change in price. That's easy. Notate that as percent delta Q divided by percent delta P. Not too bad. Expand out, so percent change is delta Q divided by Q, then divided by delta P divided by P. That's an improper fraction. You remember from algebra class, make it a proper fraction. That's delta Q over delta P times P over Q. It's all fun to remember. Part of the power of the concept of elasticity is the equation works in both ways. And we can think of it as what happens to quantity when price change. That was our original question. If the thing goes on sale, what happens to the amount bought? But it works the other way. What happens to price when the quantity change? Suppose, some hurricane hits Honduras, which provides about 6.5% of global supply of Arabica coffee beans. What would we expect to happen to coffee prices? Studies show the demand elasticity to be around -1, so a 6 or 7% decrease in quantity would imply a 6 or 7% increase in coffee prices. So the elasticities work there as well.